Hey guys, so today I have swatches of the newest shades from Picture Polish. These are all collaboration shades, so I will link the collaborators down below. I will link the Picture Polish website down below as well. They are an Australian brand, so when you go to the website, the prices are going to default to Australian dollars. So if you're in the US, you'll want to switch that currency to get accurate pricing. They do ship to the US through their main website, over $111 USD roughly, but they do also have a stockist in the US called Color for Nails, so I will link them down below as well. I also have comparisons after the swatches, 5 new polishes, and I will get into it. So the first polish is called Reflection, and this is described as a light blue polish with holographic and violet shimmer. And I find that the shimmer in this is kind of shifty. It goes from blue to purple. Great formula on this one, a little bit sheer on the first coat, and I have some pretty bad ridges on my nails, which are showing through a bit here right off the bat. But I'm also not wearing any kind of base coat, so those ridges are always going to look worse than they would depending on what base coat I would choose to actually wear the polish. It makes swatching kind of difficult, actually. The sparkle and holographic and shifty shimmer show through really nicely, and this built up really nicely in 2 coats as well. I was expecting to need 3 coats here, but I was pretty solid on 2, maybe 3 depending on your application, but I feel like this was okay for me in 2. So that is 2 coats of Reflection. The next polish is called Elegance, and this is described as a neutral beige holographic. Great formula on this, a teeny bit sheer on the first coat, but it applies very, very evenly and has a ton of that holographic sparkle. It's also one of those formulas that kind of feels like it's applying itself. This covered completely for me in 2 coats. I do feel like I could see maybe needing 3 depending on how thick or thin your coats are and the amount of nail line that you have, but I was good in 2. So that is 2 coats of Elegance. The next polish is called Musical, and this is described as a candy pink holographic. Beautiful formula on this, great coverage. It felt like it was a little bit on the thick side, but not too thick, and that's what made it so opaque. It pretty much covered here in 1 coat, but I felt like I should do 2 anyway. Obviously covered completely in 2 coats, and even though it was very creamy and very opaque, the holographic still stood out really, really nicely. So that is 2 coats of Musical. The next polish is called Journey, and they actually describe this as a light green with holographic and emerald flakies. I definitely did not use green to describe this in the comparison section, but that's how the website describes it. Good formula on this one. It was a bit more sheer than the last polish. It did show those ridges in my nails a bit as well. I really like the big emerald green. It said emerald green. I also feel like those are blue, but I really like those big flakies in there. This covered well for me in 2 coats. The color built up really nicely, but I felt like I just still had a couple of spots that were a little too sheer and a little too dark for me to stop at 2 coats. Those were covered completely in 3, but I would say this is 2 or 3 coats, just depending on your nails, your base coat, your coats, etc. I also don't think I mentioned this, but all of these polishes dry smooth, no chunkiness from any of the elements. So that is 3 coats of Journey. And the last polish is called Ella, and this is described as a cheery, sunny yellow with holographic and gold shimmer. Good formula on this one, as in not too thick, not too thin. It is a little bit sheer on the first coat, and it did show the ridges in my nails a bit more than others in the collection. That being said, it actually covered really well in 2 coats for me. I would say this is another one that's going to be 2 or 3 depending on your application, but I was surprised and happy at how well this built up in the second coat. The gold shimmer that's in there also stands out really, really nicely after it's fully dry. So that is 2 coats of Ella. All right, and away we go. Starting with Reflection. Everything that I pulled is actually much more gray or white than I thought Reflection was. It looks, I mean, even in the bottle, I feel like it looks more gray and like kind of off-whitish than it does when it's actually swatched. So it comes off very, very blue actually in comparison. This first one here is Haven. This is much more of an off-white, light gray with those holographic flakies. This one here is Succulent. This is kind of a slightly greenish gray with similar flakies without that like blue to purple shifty shimmer, but similar. This one here is, I don't know, I'm just gonna put it on the screen because I don't know how to pronounce it and I don't want to butcher it, and I just really don't even know where to start with it. It's very similar to Haven. If I look at the 2 of them, I feel like this one is that slightly more like grayish white, and Haven almost has like a warmer like creaminess to it. Similar, but not quite the same, but definitely not comparable to Reflection. This one here is Innocence, and again, very off-white, grayish white, nothing even remotely close here. I guess I didn't have anything that was this kind of powder blue. It looks very powder blue on the nail, which was surprising to me. Okay, moving on to Ella. Everything that I had here is also a bit off. I didn't have anything that was like this light pastel yellow in my Picture Polish collection. So the first one here is Sunflowers, and this is a much deeper, more sunflower, bright sunshine, almost mustardy yellow, so nothing close there. This here is Cozy. This is almost leaning chartreuse, has like a lot of green, kind of like maybe like a pukey green, and I say that with the best intentions. This one here is Fresh. This is almost very highlighter yellow, neon pastel looking, also comes off with a bit more green when stuck next to Ella. And then this one here is Pooh, which is also, as in Pooh Bear, this is also a brighter, more intense kind of sunshine Winnie the Pooh yellow. So for Journey, this first one is Clouds. This is a slightly lighter blue, kind of similar in color, but Journey has those like dark, kind of turquoise looking metallic flakies that give a really speckled look to it and make it hard to compare to other polishes even if the color is similar. This one is Honeymoon. This comes off very, very gray. This is Destiny. This is an almost more gray blue shade. This one here is Saltwater. This is a little bit more green, but again looks very different without those darker speckled flakies. And then this one here is Fool's Gold. This is a darker turquoise shade and then has those gold glitters to it, so nothing close there. So for Elegance, here we have Cherish. This is close-ish. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more of a peachy kind of neutral shade, where Elegance leans a little bit more taupe, maybe mauve if you're feeling a little frisky. So it's not exactly the same, but they are very similar. They have a similar like holographic effect to them. This one is Merge. This is a much darker brown. This here is Always. This is even more of a like light peachy neutral shade than Cherish is, and I feel like this has like some kind of blue flaky in it too, so the element isn't quite as comparable either. This is Lucky. Color-wise, this is very close. It's just a little bit darker, but it has these little metallic flakies in it and doesn't have that strong scattered holographic that Elegance has. And then this one here is Casual. This is a warmer, more brown shade, similar finish with the scattered holographic, but very different color. And lastly, we have Musical. This first one here is Princess. This is a much brighter, hotter bubblegum pink with some kind of larger flaky to it. It doesn't look the same in the shimmer or in the color. This one is Blossom. This is a much lighter, more pale pink shade. This is Spring. This is more of that almost like fuchsia, purpley pink shade, lighter, brighter, less of this darker kind of rosy mauve color. This here is Grace. This is almost very taupey and neutral. I feel like I should have put this next to Elegance, actually, now that I think about it. This is Elegance, if you're wondering. Elegance and Grace. And then this one here is Posy. This is a lighter, peachier pink and has some chunky holographic glitter to it, so nothing close here either. I think my favorite is going to be Musical. I love the color here, and the formula was just fantastic. There weren't any stinkers in here, but this one was by far the best. I can so appreciate how it was incredibly opaque, but you could still pick out all of that holographic. It didn't really hide it at all. I like the shade, I like the finish, I liked the formula, just A+ here. So those are the new shades from Picture Polish. Again, I will link the collaborators for all of these shades down below, the Picture Polish website, and the Color Free Nails website, which is their US stockist. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.